Hey, my fellow property manager friends, Mark Cunningham here with another monthly video where we talk about how to build, grow, and protect your property management business. For those of you that watched the video last time, 2 weeks ago, where we told the little fairy tale and had my little fairy tale wand and special effects, I was kind of blown away by how easily it is to impress most of you people. I mean, literally my 14-year-old son threw in a couple animations and you guys all just thought that was the most amazing thing ever. You guys got to get it out a little bit more. Okay, I digress. Let me talk for just a few minutes around this idea of promising to your property owners that you're going to do property inspections. And what I mean by that is occupied property inspections, right? We all want to do occupied property inspections. Tenant moves in, and at some point in time, typically sometime that next year, maybe it's 3 months in, maybe it's 6 months in, maybe it's 9 months in, you're going to go out and you're going to walk the property. You're going to inspect it, do an occupied property inspection. Well, there's one big mistake I see property managers make that sometimes ends up costing them a lot of money. And that mistake relates to promising to do an occupied property inspection and then not actually doing it, and how that can bite you. So let me share what I believe is a good solution to keep yourself protected and yet still get property inspections done. Now, what we're talking about here, and these are the three most common questions that I hear around occupied property inspections. Number one is like, well, how often should we do it? And you can do them typically at least once a year. It's typically mid-lease term. I've seen them done up into even quarterly inspections, which is pretty regular. I don't think you want to do more than once a quarter on occupied property inspections. How extensive should those be? Is this like a 5-minute walkthrough, or is it a 2-hour deep dive inspection? Probably somewhere in between, but you probably shouldn't be in there for more than 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's basically an inspection where you're looking for lease violation issues. You're looking for deferred maintenance items, the things that you want to be aware of in that property today with the condition that it's in. And how expensive should it be, and who should pay for that? That's a decision you have to make. Many property management companies decide they're going to back bill their owner client for that. Why? Because they're expensive to have performed. And depending on how often you're going to do it, if you're going to do occupied quarterly property inspections and you manage 1,000 properties, that's 4,000 inspections a year. Who's going to pay for all that? So it's very common to have the property owner pay for that property. So you need to get these questions answered, and hopefully you have some realm and considerations around that. Suggestion number one, as it relates to doing these occupied property inspections, is make sure that the PMA language doesn't trap you. Make sure that the PMA language doesn't trap you. Here's what I mean by that. Many property management companies have language in their property management agreement, and maybe you do as well, and it says something like this. It says annually, we, the agent, will perform an occupied property survey or a property inspection of said property and provide a report to you, the owner. You think, well, that's pretty straightforward. It's pretty straightforward. And that's great, but what could go wrong with that, Mark? Like, what's wrong with that? I should be doing them. It's my obligation. And yeah, it probably is your obligation. So what could possibly go wrong with some simple, straightforward language like that? Well, before I tell you exactly what will go wrong with that type of language, let me thank the sponsor for this month's video, Enterprise Bank and Trust. They handle all of your banking needs for your trust accounting, your business accounting. My friends, there are many vendors, there are many folks out there that we can choose to work with. Some are good, some are okay in the property management industry. There are only a handful that you should be using, period. This is one of them, Enterprise Bank and Trust. They do all of your trust accounting and banking. They're making sure that you're properly set up, you're regulated. They give you an earnings credit back. If you're not doing your banking with Enterprise, come on, guys. Reach out to Allison DeSaro. Drop me an email. I'll send you an email intro, but you need to make sure that your banking is handled properly. Your trust accounts are protected. Enterprise can do that. We've worked with them for years. Love them, love them, love them. Okay, so here's what could go wrong. Here's why I do not believe you should promise or guarantee that you're going to do occupied property inspections, because this is what's going to happen. At some point in time, you're going to be doing a checkout of a property. The tenant has moved out, and you're walking that property with the owner, and the owner's looking around, and they're saying, this thing is a mess. There's holes in the wall, the carpet's destroyed, the paint is ruined, the flooring, and they've only been here for like a year and a half. Wow, how could someone do so much damage in such a short amount of time? Hey, property manager, send me that property inspection report that you did 6 months ago or whenever you did in that first year. I'd like to see the condition of the property. I just can't believe they did this much damage. And would you send me that report, please? And you start to get a little bit nervous and say, oh, okay, I'll see if I can find that. So you go back to your office and do some digging, and lo and behold, You can't find the report. Something happened. Maybe it was COVID, and maybe you just didn't get some inspections done during that COVID year. Or maybe your inspector went out to the property and the key didn't work, and so they were going to have to reschedule, and they just never quite got around to getting that done. Maybe you just dropped the ball on this one. Maybe your inspector was sick that day. Maybe you forgot to include it on the report. But for some reason, the property inspection was not done. And so you call the owner squeamishly and say, I'm sorry, we actually didn't get that done. And the property owner says, what? You didn't get that done? If you would have done this property inspection, we could have discovered this damage was taking place before it was so expensive. And you could have I would have saved a ton of money. I think you have some obligation here. If you would have done your job, we could have gotten these people out earlier. I wouldn't have to pay all this money. I think you should step up and cover some of the damage because you didn't do what your property management agreement said you would do. And they would kind of be right, wouldn't they? Because your PMA, you promised you were going to do the property inspections. So the language that we recommend you put in your PMA, and we're not attorneys, you do what you need to, run it by your attorney, all that stuff, but have something in your PMA that maybe says this around property inspections. Instead of promising or guaranteeing, maybe it says that the agent has the option, or the agent may perform occupied property inspections up to 1 time per year at the discretion of the agent. It's kind of what ours says. So now think about that now. If my PMA says that the agent may, at agent's options, perform an annual property inspection, or agent may perform an annual property inspection at agent's discretion, and now if it didn't get done, I still may look bad. I mean, I probably should have done it, still should have done it, but at least I don't legally get trapped or painted into the corner because I guaranteed I would get it done and I didn't do it, and now I'm left holding the bag. Hey, hopefully that's helpful to you as you consider how to ensure that you're protecting your owner's property, but protecting your property management company yourself so you don't make unforced errors on that. Have you been to our website lately, PM Build? One of our newer things is we've got some updates on the income streams, how to make money in doing property inspections, for example. Check that out. If you're struggling with profitability, you're struggling to pay the bills, look at our income streams, how to profit in the property management. Very helpful to you. But we've got a ton of resources on there. Jump on pmbuild.com. Until next time, my friends, I wish you success.